and gentlemen, listen up. Have you ever watched someone realize too late that they lost the one person who truly cared? The one who stood by them, believed in them, and gave them love without hesitation? It's a moment that changes everything. A moment when a man wakes up and realizes he lost a real woman. And when that realization hits, it doesn't just pass like a fleeting thought. It shakes him to his core. At first, he won't believe it. He'll tell himself she just needs time. She'll cool off. She'll come back. Because in his mind, she was always there, always waiting, always understanding. He thinks he can fix things with a simple apology, a late-night message, or an empty promise to change. But what he doesn't know is that a real woman doesn't leave on a whim. She walks away when she's given everything, when she has poured out her love, her patience, her kindness, only to be met with neglect, indifference, or disrespect. So he waits, expecting her to miss him, to reach out first, to give him another chance, but the silence stretches. The days turn into weeks, and reality starts creeping in. She's not playing a game. She's not testing him. She's gone. And for the first time, he feels something he never expected, regret. He starts replaying the moments in his head, the way she looked at him with admiration, the way she defended him when others doubted him, the way she loved him without needing a reason. And then it hits him. She wasn't just another woman. She was the woman, the one who saw his flaws but loved him anyway, the one who believed in his dreams when he barely believed in himself. And now she's out there living her life without him. He scrolls through old photos, reads old messages, and for the first time he notices the little things he overlooked. The way she always checked on him, made sure he was okay. The way she encouraged him when he was doubting himself. The warmth of her voice, the depth of her support. He sees it all now. Everything he didn't appreciate when she was right in front of him. And then comes the pain, because now every woman he meets is a reminder of what he lost. He looks for her in other people. He tries to recreate the spark, the connection, the depth she gave so effortlessly. But nothing compares, because a real woman is irreplaceable. You don't just find another her. And that's when the self-doubt begins to creep in. He starts asking himself questions he never thought he'd have to face. Why'd I take her for granted? Why didn't I show up for her the way she showed up for me? Why did I assume she'd always be there? It's a level of regret that isn't just about missing someone. It's about realizing that you had something precious, something rare, something that most men spend their whole lives searching for, and you let it slip through your fingers. This is where the road splits. Some men drown in their pain, pretending they don't care, acting like it doesn't bother them. But late at night, when there's no one around to distract them, it hits them like a tidal wave. The weight of knowing that another man somewhere will get to experience what they threw away, that another man will be on the receiving end of her kindness, her support, her devotion. And that thought, it cuts deep. But some men, the ones who refuse to let their mistakes define them, choose a different path. They don't just sit in their regret. They use it as fuel. They change. They grow. Not to get her back, but because losing her forced them to face the truth about themselves. They become better men, not for her, but for the next real woman who comes into their life, because the lesson was too painful to ignore. And what about her? She isn't waiting. She isn't looking back. Because when a real woman walks away, she does so with clarity. She gave her heart, her energy, her love. And when she was no longer valued, she chose herself. She poured that love back into herself, into her dreams, into the life she deserved. And that's what makes the loss even greater, because he will never get another chance to be with the version of her that once loved him so deeply. So now he watches from a distance. Maybe he sees her thriving. Maybe he sees her glowing in ways she never did with him. And the bitter truth settles in. He was never the source of her light. She was always the fire. He just didn't know how to keep it burning. And that realization, that's the kind of pain no man forgets. Have you ever realized the value of something only after it was gone? A gut-wrenching moment when you finally understand that what you had was rare and now it's too late to get it back. That's exactly what happens to a man when he loses a real woman. At first, he may try to brush it off, convince himself that he'll find someone else, that she wasn't that special. But the regret, it doesn't hit immediately. It creeps in slowly like a shadow growing longer with each passing day until it completely consumes him. At first, he might still be in denial. He assumes she'll reach out, that she'll miss him and come running back like before. But this time is different. The messages don't come, the calls don't happen. The silence grows louder, and suddenly he realizes she's not playing a game, she's really gone. And that's when the regret starts sinking in like a weight pressing down on his chest. He starts replaying moments in his mind, the way she looked at him with admiration, the way she laughed at his jokes even when they weren't that funny, the way she always had his back no matter what. And for the first time he asked himself, why didn't I appreciate her when I had her? Why did I push her away? Why did I assume she'd always be there? The weight of these questions is unbearable because he already knows the answer. He took her for granted. And that's when the comparison starts. He meets other women, but something feels off. Their laughter doesn't sound as sweet. Their conversations don't feel as deep. The way they look at him doesn't hold the same warmth. He realizes that she wasn't just another woman. She was different. She was the one who saw him, really saw him and loved him despite his flaws. And now she's gone. And no one else even comes close. So he starts looking for traces of her in other people. Maybe he hears a song that reminds him of the way she used to hum along in the car. Maybe he walks past a restaurant where they used to have dinner, and suddenly he can almost hear her voice, see her smile, feel her presence. It's like a ghost haunting him, a constant reminder of what he lost. And then he checks. He goes through her social media, wondering if she's miserable without him, hoping to see signs that she still misses him. But what he finds is even worse. She's glowing, she's laughing, she's living, and she's doing it all without him. That's when his stomach drops, because now the truth is undeniable. She moved on. That's the moment when the regret doesn't just hit, it crashes over him like a tidal wave, pulling him under, suffocating him. He finally understands what she brought into his life, and it's unbearable to know that someone else will experience that now. Another man will get the love, the care, the devotion that he took for granted. Another man will be the reason she smiles, the one she chooses to stand beside, the one she pours her energy into, and there's nothing he can do about it. He might try to reach out, throw out a casual, hey, how have you been, text, hoping she'll take the bait, but deep down, he knows this time she won't respond. This time she won't give him another chance, because a real woman doesn't look back once she's truly done. That's when he realizes that regret is a prison with no escape. He can't go back and fix the past. He can't undo the mistakes. He can't make her unsee the way he neglected her love. All he can do is sit with the pain, knowing that he let go of something real and he will never find it again. It starts as a whisper in the back of his mind, something he tries to ignore. But as the days pass and the silence stretches, that whisper turns into a deafening roar. Did I make the biggest mistake of my life? At first, he told himself that she would be back, that she would miss him, that she would realize no one else could love her like he did. But now, as he watches her thrive without him, a feeling begins to grow in the pit of his stomach. What if she was the best thing that ever happened to me and I let her go? He tries to shake it off, distract himself with work, with friends, with fleeting connections that feel meaningless in comparison. But no matter what he does, he can't escape the thoughts creeping into his mind late at night when the world is quiet and there's nowhere left to hide. What if I wasn't enough for her? What if I'll never find another woman like her? It's a realization that shatters the ego, leaving him face to face with a painful truth. He had something real, something rare, and he let it slip through his fingers. He starts remembering all the time she was there for him when no one else was. The night she stayed up listening to him vent. The morning she made sure he started his day feeling encouraged. The way she believed in him even when he didn't believe in himself. And now she's out there giving that same love, that same care to someone else. The thought alone is enough to make his stomach turn. He wonders if she laughs the same way with him, if she looks at him with the same adoration, if she stays up late talking about her dreams the way she used to with him. And worst of all, he wonders if that man appreciates her in a way that he never did. That's when the self-doubt starts to consume him. Was I ever good enough for her? Was she always too good for me? Was I the reason she had to walk away? He replays every moment, every argument, every missed opportunity to tell her how much she meant to him. And the more he thinks about it, the more he realizes he had every chance to be better, and he didn't take it. He starts questioning everything. Maybe it wasn't just her that he lost. Maybe he lost himself too, because when she was around, he felt invincible. She made him believe in himself, made him feel like he could be anything, do anything. She poured her love into him, and now that she's gone, he feels the emptiness she left behind. He wonders if he will ever be the same again, if another woman will ever see him the way she did, if he will ever have another chance to prove he's capable of the love she always deserved. He tells himself he can change, that he can become better, but deep down, the doubt lingers. What if it's too late? He looks in the mirror, and for the first time, he doesn't recognize the man staring back. The confidence he once had, the certainty that she would always be there, is gone, and in its place, there is only regret. Because now he sees the truth. Losing a real woman doesn't just hurt. It changes you. And the worst part, there's no way to go back and undo it. There comes a moment when a man is forced to face the truth. The moment he realizes that she is never coming back. It's no longer about missing her presence or longing for the past. It's about something deeper, something that shakes the very foundation of who he is. Who am I now that she's gone? This question doesn't leave him. It follows him everywhere, echoing in his mind as he stares at the ceiling late at night, as he moves through the world feeling like a stranger in his own skin. There are only two paths from here. One leads to growth, the other to destruction. But the weight of regret makes it difficult to choose. Some men spiral, sinking into a darkness they don't know how to escape. They lose themselves in distractions, numbing the pain with temporary fixes, new women, new habits, anything to avoid facing the truth. But no matter how hard they try, the emptiness remains. Nothing feels the same. Nothing fills the void. And the worst part, they know why. Because deep down, they realize the issue was never her, it was them. She didn't leave because she stopped loving him. She left because he never showed her he truly valued her. And now that mistake has cost him everything. The pain of that truth can either break him or transform him. And for the first time, he understands that the choice is his alone. Some men take this pain and use it as fuel. They look in the mirror and face the harsh reality, I wasn't the man she needed me to be. And instead of drowning in self-pity, they make a decision. They refuse to stay the same. They refuse to be the kind of man who loses a woman like her again. They start working on themselves, not for her, not for the hope that she might come back, but because they finally see what they should have seen all along. They learn how to communicate, how to appreciate, how to love with intention. They start taking accountability, recognizing that their actions or lack of them shape their reality. They push themselves to be better, not just for a relationship, but for life itself. And slowly, they start to rebuild. But the other path, the one of destruction, that's the easy one. That's the one where bitterness takes over, where the ego refuses to admit fault. That's the path of blaming her, convincing himself that she was the problem, that she was never really that special. But even as he tells himself these things, he knows they aren't true. And the deeper he goes down that road, the more he loses himself. Some men never recover from losing a real woman. They carry that regret like a chain around their neck, allowing it to define them. They move through life half empty, forever haunted by the love they didn't appreciate when they had it, They become the cautionary tale, the man who had everything and let it slip away. But those who choose growth, they become something else entirely. They become men who will never make the same mistake again. They become men who understand the value of a good woman, men who, if they're ever lucky enough to find another like her, will never take her for granted. And while the pain may never fully disappear, they find purpose in it. Because they know that losing her forced them to become the man they were always meant to be. It happens slowly at first. He convinces himself she'll reach out, that she'll miss him, that eventually she'll come running back. He believes she'll cave because she always did before. But this time is different. The silence stretches longer than he ever imagined. And with each passing day, the weight of reality begins to sink in. She's not coming back. At first, he fights it. He replays old conversations, searching for signs that maybe she still loves him. Maybe she's just waiting for him to make a move. He checks his phone obsessively, hoping for a message that never comes. He watches her from afar, noticing how she carries herself differently now. Lighter, freer, as if leaving him was the best decision she ever made. And that realization, it cuts deeper than he's prepared for. He always thought he had time. He thought no matter what, she would always be there, waiting, forgiving, hoping he would change. He underestimated the strength of a real woman, the kind of woman who doesn't waste her life waiting for a man to realize her worth. And now, standing in the wreckage of his own choices, he understands something he never wanted to admit. She's moved on, and she's never looking back. The regret starts creeping in, unshakable, unforgiving. He sees her in flashes. The way she used to smile at him, the way she poured love into him when he didn't deserve it, the way she stood by his side even when he gave her every reason to leave. And now someone else is experiencing that love. Someone else is on the receiving end of her kindness, her passion, her loyalty. And the thought of it, it's unbearable. He tries to reach her, tries to remind her of what they had, a text here, a late night call there, a weak attempt to spark something that has long since burned out. But she doesn't bite. She doesn't give in. Because the moment she walked away, she made a promise to herself. Never again. A real woman doesn't leave on impulse. She doesn't walk away without thought. She gives chances. She forgives. She loves with everything she has, but once she's done, once she's truly done, there's no force in the world that can bring her back. He struggles to accept it. He tells himself she's just trying to teach him a lesson, that if he just waits long enough, she'll come back. But the truth, she's already gone. Maybe she loved him more than words could express, but love wasn't enough to keep her where she wasn't valued. She's out there now, rediscovering herself, reclaiming her happiness, learning what it feels like to be with someone who doesn't make her question her worth. And him? He's left standing in the ruins of what could have been, tormented by the one thought that won't leave his mind. I lost her forever. And nothing is more painful than knowing he will never again experience the love of a woman who gave him everything, only to realize too late that she was the one thing he should have never let go. It starts the way it always does. He assumes she'll always be there. He takes her presence for granted, thinking there will always be another day to show her he cares, to appreciate the little things she does, to remind her that she matters. He gets comfortable believing she isn't going anywhere. After all, she stayed through everything. His neglect, his mistakes, his coldness. He thinks she'll always forgive, always wait, always love him, no matter what. But what he doesn't realize is that even the most loving heart has its limits. At first, she doesn't say much. She swallows the hurt, telling herself that maybe she's expecting too much, that maybe he does love her, just not in the way she needs. She keeps giving, keeps trying, hoping that one day he'll wake up and see her, truly see her. But every time he dismisses her feelings, every time he makes her feel invisible, something inside her shifts. And the moment she stops fighting for him, the moment she stops asking for his attention, that's the moment he should fear the most. She doesn't leave in anger. She doesn't slam doors or make threats. She simply withdraws. Her silence isn't a test, it's a warning. And if he doesn't notice it, if he doesn't take it seriously, then he's already lost her. Because when a woman like her finally makes the decision to walk away, she doesn't look back. She leaves with everything she once gave. And that's when it hits him. The empty bed, the quiet house, the absence of her voice, her scent, her energy. It's in the little things. The way his mornings feel colder, the way his days feel longer, the way he reaches for his phone out of habit only to realize there are no more messages from her. She's gone, and this time she's not coming back. He goes through the stages, first denial, then anger. He tells himself she overreacted, that she should have given him more time. He tries to convince himself that she'll regret leaving. But deep down, where the truth can't be ignored, he knows she was the best thing that ever happened to him, and he let her slip away. And now he sees her differently. He remembers the way she used to light up when he walked into the room, the way she always put him first, the way she loved him even on the days he didn't deserve it. He realizes how rare she was, how deeply she cared, how much effort she put into making him feel loved. And for the first time, he understands what he had, but understanding too late is the greatest pain of all. Because while he's drowning in regret, she's out there rediscovering herself. She's healing, growing, and learning how to live a life where she is valued, cherished, adored. And him? He's left with nothing but memories and the agonizing realization that he could have had forever if only he had appreciated her when he had the chance. It's only after she's gone that he learns the truth. A woman like her isn't replaceable. He can search for her in every new face, every new body, every fleeting connection, but it will never be the same because love like hers doesn't come around twice. It was once in a lifetime, and he let it slip through his fingers. That's the lesson. Love is a privilege, not a guarantee. A real woman doesn't wait forever. She doesn't beg to be seen. If a man doesn't appreciate her while he has her, he will spend the rest of his life wishing he had. And by the time he realizes it, she'll be long gone, building a life where she is finally loved the way she always deserved.